Okay, let's orient ourselves. It is Wednesday, January 21, 2026. And if you were looking at your calendar and, feeling that specific kind of post-holiday gray,
The slump.
the slump exactly, where the New Year's energy has faded, but spring still feels a million miles away, we have something a little different for you today. We're doing a deep dive into a very specific slice of life happening right now on Anna Marie Island.
Yeah, it's a fascinating case study in timing. We're looking at the Anna Marie Island January 2026 event guide, but honestly, calling it a guide feels a bit, well, reductive.
It does.
It reads less like a schedule and more like a manifesto for a very specific type of lifestyle.
That is exactly what caught my eye. The source material calls this the low-density Florida travel window. So we're zooming in on this exact week from right now through Monday the 26th. And the vibe they're pitching isn't just go to the beach. It's got a distinct flavor. They keep using this hashtag 941life.
Which is worth unpacking right away. 941 is the area code, of course, for that region, Manatee County, Sarasota. But here, the source is definitely using it to mean a state of mind.
Yeah.
It's referring to a certain grit, a local rhythm that, only exists when the big holiday crowds are gone, but before the spring breakers have swarmed in. It's this little window of authenticity.
It's that gap in the calendar. And that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to help you figure out how to navigate this specific week on the island. The goal here, according to the sources, is to maximize value living on what they call a dine-store budget, while soaking up maximum relaxation. Gulf Coast ease. But help me out here. Usually when guides talk about value, it means nobody wants to be there. Is that what's happening?
That's the cynical take, but the data here suggests something else. I mean, if we connect this to the bigger picture, you've got two distinct forces colliding. Economically, yes, this is the tourism slowdown window. Demand dips, prices soften.
Okay.
But psychologically, the source material keeps pointing to this idea of a blue mind wind down.
Blue mind. I've heard this term. It sounds way better than January blues, but what are we actually talking about scientifically?
So it's a concept that's been popularized by marine biologists, neuroscientists. It refers to the mildly meditative state our brains enter when we're near, in, or on water. It's basically the antidote to the red mind, which is that stressed, overstimulated state we're all in.
Right. Modern life.
Exactly. So when the guide talks about festivals and plays, it's framing them as tools for mental decompression. It's about how water plus a lack of crowds affects your brain.
So we're not just eating shrimp, we're medicating.
Yeah.
I like it. Let's jump into the anchor event then, because if you're anywhere near the island this weekend, the source makes it pretty clear where you need to be.
Oh, yeah. The Coquina Beach Seafood and Music Festival.
That's the one.
This is definitely the centerpiece. It's happening this weekend, January 23rd through the 25th. And just looking at the logistics, they've set it up to, dominate your whole schedule if you let it.
So grab a pen if you're actually planning this. The hours are specific. It kicks off Friday, that's the 23rd, from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Then Saturday is the big one, 11 a.m. all the way to 10 p.m. And Sunday, they wrap it up a bit earlier, 11 to 6.
Okay.
But here's the thing that stood out to me right away. The cost, or really the lack of it. Free admission.
Which is rare for 2026.
Extremely. The source calls it a little treat move. I just love that phrasing. It's not just free, it's a treat. It feels like permission to just show up without a big commitment.
And that's a huge distinction in the economics of tourism. Usually you have high barriers to entry tickets, parking fees. This event just removes them. The source says, I don't feel the pressure to spend money, so I enjoy the free part.
It changes your whole mindset.
It does. You aren't there to get your money's worth because you haven't spent any yet. You're just there to be.
Which leaves you with more budget for the important stuff, the food. Okay, let's talk about the menu, because the guide is not holding back. We're talking fresh shrimp, crab, lobster, oysters. It lists all the heavy hitters. But does it strike you as a little odd they're pushing fresh seafood so hard? I mean, isn't that a given on an island?
You would think so, but this brings us to a kind of spicy take in the source material. Did you catch the rivalry they're trying to stoke?
Oh, I absolutely did. It made me laugh. The guide says, and I'm quoting, Gulf Coast versus Southeast Florida, 2026 isn't even a contest when it comes to seafood.
Shots fired at Miami.
Right. It's aggressive. But it fits that 941 life narrative. They're claiming authenticity. They're basically saying, we don't need the glibs. We have the goods.
And it aligns with that low-density theme perfectly. Southeast Florida is often, high density, high price, high stress. The Gulf Coast, at least in this guide, is positioning itself as the authentic quality alternative. They're betting you'd rather have a crab leg on a paper plate in the sand.
Than some foam-garnished thing in a loud bistro.
Exactly.
And it's not just food, it's a music festival. They've got live music all weekend. The source specifically highlights a band called Phoenix 5 on Saturday night. So if you want that peak energy, Saturday seems to be the target.
But don't overlook the atmosphere itself. The guide mentions sunsets that rival Bean Point sunset photography. Now, for anyone who hasn't been down that rabbit hole, Bean Point is the famous northern tip of the island.
The spot for sunsets.
The spot.
Yeah.
So comparing the festival setting at Coquina Beach, which is on the south end, to Bean Point is a really bold claim about the beauty of the venue.
And there are over 40 local artisans there, too. So it's a mix of eating, listening, just wandering.
That wandering is key. But I want to challenge this idea that it's all just breezy and easy. Even a low-density week has bottlenecks. If we want to be strategic here, and you know we love a good strategy, we need to look at the local tips.
Oh, for sure. Because free admission usually translates to nightmare parking.
Precisely. Rule number 1 in the guide, do not fight the parking war. The source is adamant. It says, skip the parking battle, take the free MCAT beach trolley.
I feel like people always say that, but then nobody does. They want their car nearby. But here, the guide frames it as like a mental health decision.
It's an efficiency move. If the goal is that blue mind relaxation, circling a lot for 20 minutes is the exact opposite of that. That kicks you right into red mind. The trolley preserves the mental state you're trying to achieve.
That makes sense. Okay, and here's another tip that I think is just genius in its simplicity. The guide says, bring your own chair.
It seems trivial, but think about the ergonomics of a festival. If you rely on their seating, what are you doing? You're constantly scanning, hovering, competing. You're hunting.
Like a vulture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you bring your own chair, you carry your own territory with you. You can create your own Blue Mind wind-down spot anywhere. Plop it down, listen to the music.
That's the dream. It also connects back to that dime store budget idea. The source has this great line. Even if it's just a few small samplers, I make out like a dime store budget.
I loved that part. The writer even admits they sometimes just walk through for the smell of salt water and seafood and don't even buy the big meals.
It's the difference between consumption and experience. The little treat isn't buying the lobster. It's the freedom to enjoy the atmosphere without that pressure.
Easy on your mind and your wallet, as the text says.
So, we've established the outdoor strategy, but what if you're not a seafood person? Or maybe you just got a little too much sun? The guide actually has some great pivots for the work from beach crowd.
Right, because not everyone wants to be sandy 24/7. It lists the Island Players Theater production of Murder by Misadventure.
Murder by Misadventure.
A little ominous for a beach trip, isn't it?
A little bit. But the guide calls it a cozy indoor pick. Now, looking at the schedule, there was a show yesterday, so we missed that one. But there's a matinee coming up on Sunday the 25th at 2 p.m.
That timing feels very specific. Sunday at 2 p.m.
It's strategic. The festival's winding down. Maybe you've had enough sun. It serves as this great transition activity. It adds a layer of culture, so it's not just eating and beach going.
Engages a different part of your brain.
Totally. And for the people who love the thrill of the hunt, you know who you are, there's the Perico Island Moving and Antique Sale.
This one is so fascinating because it's so specific. It's not a shop. It's a moving sale at a 10021 Jasmine Circle, Friday and Saturday only.
And the source positions this in a really interesting way. It says it's for people looking for affordable beach wedding Florida finds.
Which is such a niche search term, but it implies a certain aesthetic, right? Distressed wood, coastal colors, vintage glass. Even if you're not planning a wedding, that's the vibe.
Local art, collectibles. It's about scavenging for that one piece of the island to take home with you.
I love that idea. Going to a moving sale on vacation feels like you're peeking behind the curtain of real life there. You're not just a tourist buying a magnet.
You're shopping where the locals lived. It reinforces that whole 941 life theme we started with.
And let's be honest, finding a hidden gem at an estate sale gives you a dopamine hit a souvenir shop just can't match.
No question. Okay, so we've crushed the weekend, eaten the seafoods, seen the play, bought the antique lamp. But the guide doesn't stop on Sunday. And this is what I think makes this week so special. It's about that transition into Monday.
Monday is usually the villain. Back to reality, but the source suggests extending the vibe.
Exactly. There's the Seahorses art show kicking off on Monday the 26th on Bridge Street.
Marine-inspired art, local makers. The source also mentions an online silent auction. It's described as a great stop before checking out homes beach vacation rentals.
Which is a funny little detail. It sort of implies you might go look at the art and then just decide, hey, maybe I should rent a place and stay longer.
Where you're scouting for next year, it's a subtle marketing nudge. But there's one more event that really seals the deal for Monday.
It's a sunset session. You've got the Tina Cricket Band playing at the Gulf Drive Cafe. Monday, 5 to 8 p.m.
The guide calls this a perfect sunset pairing. And it specifically calls out two groups: snowbirds tracking AMI snowbird availability, and locals just easing into the week.
So you have these two demographics merging. The retirees who are down for the season and the locals finishing their workday. And you, the listener, you get to sit right in the middle of that.
It creates this sense of continuity. The weekend energy doesn't just fall off a cliff. It tapers gently into a Monday sunset. It avoids the Sunday scaries.
So zooming out a bit, we've covered the what, but I want to get back to the why. Why does this source single out this specific week, January 20th to the 26th, as being so critical? Why not come in February?
It all comes down to that concept of the sweet spot. If you look at the macro tourism cycles, January is an anomaly. The source calls it the Southwest Florida tourism slowdown window.
Which sounds like a bad thing for businesses, but a great thing for us.
Precisely. It's a buyer's market. The text mentions America First travel pricing, which in this context just refers to domestic travel economics. The peak holiday surge pricing is gone, you get more value.
And it's not just money, it's space. We keep coming back to low-density Florida travel.
That's the key phrase. High density creates friction waiting in lines, traffic. Low density creates flow. The source describes the island during this week as feeling like it belongs to the visitor. That is a powerful psychological benefit.
Yeah.
You're not sharing the sunset with 3,000 other people holding up iPads. It feels personal.
The sensory details in the intro really painted that picture for me. Rolling slow past beach accesses, sipping gas station coffee, letting the AM radio drift between static and steel drums.
That imagery is so evocative. Rolling slow. You can't roll slow in March. You're bumper to bumper. You're stressed. But this week, you can actually drive slowly and look at the water.
And the gas station coffee detail. It's so unpretentious. It's not about some fancy $14 latte. It's about the simple ritual of just being there.
It grounds the experience. It's not a curated Instagram moment. It's real. Static on the radio, steel drums, it's gritty. That's the 941 grit. It suggests that perfection isn't the goal, presence is.
It really does sound like the perfect reset button.
It's a recalibration. You're trading urgency for agency. You decide the pace. And because the crowds are thin, the island responds to you instead of you having to fight the island for space.
So let's recap what we've learned for our listener. We have, what, 3 main hooks here from the guide?
I think so. First, you've got the local hook, the 941 Grit, the seafood festival. It's about authentic food and music participating in the local culture.
Then the value hook, the Blue Dine Special. Free admission, free trolley, bringing your own chair, high enjoyment, low financial pressure.
And finally, the news hook, the schedule itself. This specific window, January 20th to the 26th, where the stars align for low crowds and cool weather, it's a fleeting moment.
And remember the tactical advice. Sunday matinee for culture, Monday sunset for the wind down.
It's all about claiming that island breathing room before the February crowds rush in. This is your window right now.
Yeah. But this raises a really important question for you, the listener. We've just spent all this time breaking down the schedule, where to be, what to see. But the core philosophy here is low density and blue mind calm.
I see where you're going with this.
If the true value of this week is the silence and the space, is the best way to spend it actually attending these events? Or is the ultimate power move to look at this schedule, acknowledge it, and then do absolutely nothing at all?
That is the paradox, isn't it? Maybe the real little treat is just sitting on an empty beach while everyone else is at the festival. Sometimes the best event is no event. The schedule is there if you need it, but that blue mind state might just require staring at the horizon.
A very provocative thought. To go or not to go? That is the question we leave you with.
Enjoy the silence or enjoy the shrimp.
It's your call. Thanks for diving in with us.
Until next time.